Hi there, friends. How you doing? It's been a while. Hope you've been doing well in spite of the world falling into madness and decay. Maybe we had it coming. Hopefully not. It's been a while since I've done a video, and started to kind of miss it recently. For a while there, I ran out of money, was unable to buy stuff, so I didn't really feel much like talking about music and that much. I talking about music that much. I've been working on music, playing that. My band, The Glorious Dead. Our album's about ready to be sent off to the plant, which we're all very excited for you guys to hear. I think you're gonna like it. Working on a solo project, and the Tulicia, which I have a Bandcamp page up for. It started out as Dungeon Synth, but I think I'm going to expand it into black metal a little bit. I'm doing another project with some friends of mine from the band Undercroft. But anyway, things here have been different, but doing okay. Kids home, like I'm sure your kids are home as well. Been trying to navigate around that, trying to make money, all that good stuff. But in the process of my not buying any music spell, I fell off the wagon pretty hard. In spite of not being able to spend money, I found a way to spend it anyway. Rediscovered Bandcamp. I always had a weird relationship with Bandcamp. I mean, as a label owner, it's there. You try to offer a digital service, and as an old guy that has always preferred actual media, tangible media, I really had a hard time wrapping my head around buying digital files. But I downloaded the app on my phone, and it has made it a lot more fun to surf looking for music. And along with downloading some digital files, I've bought some stuff that I've really appreciated. The first bit of this is just going to be a collection update, by the way. I have nothing really that important to talk about or anything other than show off some stuff that I've acquired and enjoy listening to. But yeah, through the Bandcamp service, I have been buying some stuff, checking out bands I probably wouldn't have. And yeah, so the beginning of this is going to be Bandcamp related, and then we'll see how far we get. I got a whole bunch of shit to show. But here we go. First up, I think this guy's from the US. I'm not entirely sure. But this is Moon and Azure Shadow with Age of Darkness and Frost. Was this an A5 Digipack? A4, A5? Opens up three ways. This is on Repose Records from England. I got this. This is excellent. Basically, this is dungeon synth and winter synth mixed with black metal. It's about half and half, actually. It's a good mix of both, of all three styles. And the black metal portion of this album really starts off reminding me of Summoning, earlier Summoning, very heavy influence. But as the album progresses and the guy figures out, what's the guy's name? I don't know, doesn't matter. As the music progresses throughout the album, he finds more of his own spirit, I think, and style. It's a very good, well recorded, warm, atmospheric, deep sounding record. I really like it. It's been in the CD player a lot lately. Moon and Azure Shadow. Check them out. They're on Bandcamp. Next up, my friend Ben Smasher, Brain Smasher, showed this band on one of his collection updates. Just, played a clip, maybe even kind of perked my interest a little bit. So I got on Bandcamp and checked out the band from the New Hampshire area called Ancestral Shadows. So I went on. This is the one Ben shown. This was Woven. I can't read the font. My eyes suck. Woven Mysteries of Ancient Lore. So I'm kind of backlit today. It's a good CD. The only real problem with this is maybe the production is a little thin. If they could get a little more low end and depth in the sound, I think it would be all the better for it. But other than that, it's really well written, really atmospheric, treble heavy black metal of the traditional style. Nothing new, nothing groundbreaking going on, but I liked it. I went on Bandcamp, liked it, bought that, and the other two releases they had also. This is The Sorrows of Centuries Past. Big old thick ass digipack. Again, traditional black metal, nothing new to report other than it's really well written. Since this is their second album, the production is a little worse than this one. Still the same, really treble heavy, a lot of acoustic guitar, a lot of that atmospheric note picked chords. Very cool, but the production is a little DIY. Again, a little more low end in this would do it some wonders. And this is their first album, Persevering All Darkness in This World. Sorry, my eyes are getting worse the older I get. This jewel case, this was on Humanity's Plague Records. Again, basically this is their first album. I should have started with this one and worked my way up, but out of the three, this is the least developed, but still the core of what they became is definitely within this music. It's good stuff. Definitely, if you're into that kind of thing, check them out. Next up is a complete 180 shift from what I've just shown you. This is Dim Have. Basically, this is a prog power metal album featuring the vocalist Danielle Hyman, who was the lead singer for the amazing, check them out, Lost Horizon. Awakening the World and Flame to the Ground Beneath are two of my all-time favorite power metal bands, power metal releases, and once I heard that he was going to be singing on this material, there was no way in hell, I'm getting glares all over the place, sorry, there's no way in hell that I wasn't going to investigate it further. Ah, damn it. I have to get this figured out. Anyway, Dim Have. You know, there's some industrial. There are some instrumental. About half of this album is instrumental, which is fine. And it's, like I said, really complex, technical, progressive power metal. But I like the guy's vocals. I really wish there was more of that on here. The stuff that he does sing on reminds me of Lost Horizon. Definitely not. These guys definitely are not as good of songwriters as the main guy behind Lost Horizon, but it's a good album. Check out Dim Have's The Boreal Flame. Very good. Check them out on Bandcamp. That's where I got this from. Next up is a longtime classic band that I've always liked. A pair of twin brothers from England called Forefather. This is Curse of the Quelled. I had not had this album. For some reason, it slipped through the cracks. This is their latest full-length. Got on their Bandcamp page one day, was listening, and went, holy shit, how did I miss this album? So, yes, I picked it up from them, and sits right up there atop all their others. I think probably Steadfast is my favorite by Forefather, but this band is fantastic. Super catchy. It's like one of those bands where they put out an album and every single riff is a golden riff. They just got that movement and melody and impact, and this album is another album full of that stuff. There's harsh vocals mixed with more triumphant, clean singing. I think the drums are programmed on this, which can be a little iffy at times, but the music is so good and the singing is so good, I overlook it. But definitely check out Forefather. They're fantastic. This band, I did some investigating because I didn't necessarily want to buy a sketch band, and this totally looks like a sketch band, but I don't think they are. But this is Minenwerfer with Alpenpass. Really good, atmospheric, depressive black metal dealing with World War One. The battles that were in the Alps actually fought within the mountains. As far as I know, like I said, it's not sketchy. If it is, oh no, may lightning strike me down. But definitely don't want to support that shit. But this is a good album. And again, I stumbled across them on Bandcamp, checked out the album, and ended up listening to it like 3 or 4 times right off the bat. Really dense, heavy, thick, super depressive, airy, atmospheric black metal. Check out Minenwerfer if you want to hear stuff like that. Next up, a lot of people are talking about this band for good reason. This is Conjureth Foul Formations. Dude's from California. I think he used to be in Father Befouled. It's a 4-song demo. Old school death metal. The guy was also in Golgotha. Comes with a logo sticker, which looks like a pile of twigs about to get burnt. Basically, it is old style death metal, which is right up my alley, as I'm old and came from that era and appreciate that era the most. The songs are inventive, interesting. They don't really sound like anything. If you have heard Golgotha, this reminds me a bit stylistically of Golgotha, but more old style death metal spirited and a little bit more dynamics and attention to speed. But the grooves and the riffs, super catchy. Definitely check this band out. And out of this pile of Bandcamp acquisitions, here's another one that I had to pick up after listening to once. This is a Czech band, Will of the Primordial by the duo Grima. I believe they're a duo. This album is fantastic. Holy shit. It reminds, there's like accordion on here and other traditional instruments. And the guy's searing vocals, it reminds me of Winder's Arntor, which is my favorite Winder album. This album definitely sits amongst the same level as Arntor by Winder. Definitely check this out. It's on Nature Mocked Productions. Good overseas label. Comes with a booklet in the digipack. I wish I could tell you a little bit better how, just the description is just super melodic and dense and fierce black metal, traditional instrumentation. The melodies are right on. There's good atmosphere, but the vocals, Ben was telling me he didn't like the vocals on this. I don't really see why it's that far out of league with anything else. It's within the same style of harsh screaming. There's nothing different or weird about it. It's just well written, well done, well executed, and a fantastic album. That's it for my Bandcamp acquisitions. The rest is just some stuff that I picked up. Actually, I did hear this band on Bandcamp and ended up buying the CDs outside of Bandcamp. But this is Magoth. I think it's a one-man band. This is Zeitgeist, Dystopia, and Anti-Terrestrial Black Metal. Nothing super interesting or unique to report here. It's just really solid, well executed, well recorded black metal within that melodic dissonance that I tend to gravitate towards. This one is a digipack, of course. Pretty well done. Even printed on the insides here, which is an added expense. Jewel case, comes with a booklet. Pretty cool artwork. Magoth, I can't even tell you where they're from. I have not researched that or even what they're about, other than I checked them out and liked them. Found the CDs on eBay for pretty cheap. Had to have them because I have a problem. And next up, album I always had when it came out as a CDR. A friend burned this for me. Ended up finding it for super cheap on eBay. Had to get it. This is Heathen, The Evolution of Chaos. Bay Area thrash. The first song on this Dying Season has a monster riff that is just so catchy and atypical, off-kilter, and weird. It basically, to me, the rest of the album wouldn't have mattered how good it is because that riff in the first song is so good. But thankfully, the whole album, very much reminiscent of Exodus and Forbidden. This is the band's third album. Breaking the Silence was the first. Awesome album. Victims of a Dying World, I believe, is the second, which I don't own. And then this one. This is a reformation. They came back in 2010. Don't know what they're doing now, other than the guitar player is in Exodus. The Russian guy. I can't remember his name. Next up, friend of mine, TJ, bought this and brought it over one metal night and listened to it. It's very good. It's black metal mixed with melodic death metal with the theme of World War I. This is 1914 with The Blind Leading the Blind. Basically, if you're into Sabaton, who deal with a lot of wars and a lot of World War I stuff, this is Sabaton minus the pop music, which, don't get me wrong, I love me some Sabaton. But this is a great album. Super well produced. Very cool artwork. Dense, well produced. Did I already say that? Yeah, probably. My kid's upstairs talking and I'm like distracted. Listen to this quite a bit. Really heavy, well done. There's a lot of period radio announcements and songs mixed in between the tracks on here to give it that feeling of the early 1900s, basically. Little, maybe a little corny at first, but that was a different time and a different world, and entertainment was different. But what matters is it all comes together and makes a very unique album. These guys don't really sound like anybody. I really like the way they walk between the death metal and black metal influences and come up with something. World War One, I guess, is starting to get a little played out as far as the topic goes, but it's an interesting, brutal time that a lot of bands can touch upon and offer something unique to it. In 1914, do it. Very good. Check it out. Next up, another 180 style shift. I'm very much into Halloween, and it used to be just the Kai Hansen and the Kiska eras, but this last year I really fell in love with the Andy Darris Halloween and found myself branching out, trying to find other releases or other bands that were created by members that were in Halloween. Basically, this is Master Plan with, I think it's just a self-titled album. Basically, Master Plan's claim to fame is Roland Grapow and, what the hell is his name? Uli Rush? Uli Rush, who was a drummer for Halloween, and Roland Grapow, who was a guitar player for Halloween during the Master of the Rings on era of Halloween. Apparently those two had a falling out with the remaining members of Halloween and started their own band. Basically, Master Plan sounds like Master of the Rings, Time of the Oath era Halloween, but not as metal. Basically, this to me, Master Plan strikes me as like a heavy metal version of Foreigner. The vocalist Jorn Lande, Lande, if I can read the font correctly. Jorn is his first name. Basically, he's a very bluesy, soulful singer, and he's got a fantastic voice. Fits really well with this music. It is heavy metal. It is very German sounding, but it's got a very bluesy spirit to it. Like I said, it's like a heavy metal version of Foreigner. The two songs on here, Crystal Night and Soul Burn, are probably the two best songs on here, even though I like every song on this album, even the more ballad-esque types. I find myself, the older I get, appreciating this shit more and more. You'll probably start seeing it on the channel more and more because I do listen to this stuff a lot, and I do really, really like Halloween. I do plan on doing an Andy Darris video. I always have plans to do videos, and they just never fucking pans out because I'm usually too busy. But anyway, this is the last of the CDs. Master Plan, if you're into that stuff, definitely check this out. It's worth listening to. They've got a whole bunch of other albums that I need to eventually investigate, thankfully, with Bandcamp and other stuff like that. And Spotify. I can do that and not have to pull the trigger on it. Next up, let's do some vinyl. I know I'm chatting forever here. This is the way it is. It's been a while, so I guess you're going to have to be stuck with me for a bit. This is Abbott Outstrider. I saw this sitting at the local store. I had to get it because as much of a doofus as this guy is, I think he's a talented doofus. I like his vocals. I like his riff writing. At the Heart of Winter is... I enjoy all Immortal, more or less, up through At the Heart of Winter, and then it starts getting a little iffy here and there for me. But I liked his first solo project album, and I had to get this one. I've only listened to this once because I haven't really been in the mood. There's some really good songs. I think it's a little more aggressive than the first album. I think the first album had more of a punky vibe to it. This one's a little more aggressive. I do like the gold embossed foil. Looks very classy. And the cover art's cool too. But I need to spend some more time with this, but ultimately it just kind of struck me as so-so. I mean, I don't know how much I'm going to listen to it. These I can't remember if I've shown, but I need to. I've been spinning them a lot. Need to file them. I got Manila Road, Out of the Abyss on vinyl. I'm slowly getting all the Manila Roads on vinyl. I think I only need like 2 more, and I've got them all. Ouch! Hit myself in the face. Ugh. God. Mark was the man. I don't think people realize what the world lost when he passed, because he was a true visionary. I love Manila Road. It's a shame when all these classic albums were being made that people didn't really give a shit about Manila Road, which is a shame. I mean, I didn't even hear them until they reformed. My buddy Jeff Wagner made me a Manila Road Essentials cassette tape, which I ended up falling in love with and seeing them live once at the Kalamazoo Classic Metal Fest. It was fantastic. But Manila Road has become one of my favorite bands, and some albums are better than others, but the early stuff, I mean, even some of the newer shit was so good. And definitely the stuff is all kind of readily available, and you should totally check them out because Manila Road are fantastic. This is The Blessed Curse. I reviewed this a long time ago when I first bought it on CD, and I wasn't all that into it at the time. I just wasn't in the mood for it. Since I've done that review, it's on YouTube somewhere. I ended up loving the album, which happens with me a lot. The more you sit with something and absorb it, it changes. This might have been colored vinyl. This other one was orange. I'm not going to show you all the colored vinyls. It doesn't matter. It's a great album. It's modern day Manila Road, very formula based, which at the time I was bitching about, but basically if the formula is Manila Road formula, it's a great formula. And why reinvent the wheel, especially for a band that's been around as long. But I love Manila Road, great shit. This is stuff that I don't need to show. Already shown it. This band, a lot of people are saying this is like the best of the year type stuff, and this is been sitting on this a while, listening to it here and there. This is Nashheim with Jord Aska. Basically, I've got all Nashheim stuff. I think their last album was all their stuff has been really, really good, and this album really, really good. But when I first listened to it, it struck me as very much a Panopticon derivative. Obviously, Austin is my friend, and Panopticon's on my label. Austin partially owns Blind Room Recordings, so I'm very close to that project. And when I hear other bands, playing within this style, it's a great style. It's a great, but it seems weird to me. Comes with a poster. But, once I got over that and worked past that and started listening to the album more, I realized that, there's a slight Panopticon influence here. Whether that was intentional or not, it probably wasn't intentional. It's just the way it worked out. I got over it and took the album as what it is. It's a very well written, very moody, post-black metal-y. I don't know. A lot of dynamics, a lot of emotion, a lot of power surging throughout the tracks. Yeah, it's a good album. I don't know if it would have made a year-end list for me, but I see why people like it. And I'm glad I bought it because, like I said, I got all the other stuff on vinyl. And it would have been weird to get it on CD or not to get it at all. So I got it. I do enjoy it. Up next, I'm not going to talk too much about this because everybody has it. I think this is the black version. I'm a fan of Blood Incantation. I think they're a great band. I I can respect why people like them because they're really good. Do I get why there's such a fanatic um, thing right now? I mean, this is like the biggest band in the world type of thing in death metal right now, which, again, more kudos to them. They put in the work. They've toured all over the place. They're road warriors for sure, and they write good stuff. But I listen to this, and it strikes me as Blessed era Morbid Angel meets post spiritual healing death. You know, individual thought patterns, human um, sound of perseverance, all mixed into, you know, death metal. You know, well, not that that wasn't death metal, but I'm saying that death and Morbid Angel mix is definitely apparent on here. And then they took some drugs and played with some Moog synths, and you got this album. It's good. I listened to it a couple times. You know, it's I don't want to sit here and talk shit about it because I do enjoy it, and I do enjoy this band. I've got all their stuff. I don't know if the hype seems crazy to me. That's all I'm saying. This I might have shown, so I'm not going to talk about it. But this is Doomwatch, A Symphony of Decadence. I got this cheap at Vertigo Records for like, well, $9. I'm very surprised to see it. I have this on cassette. I bought it out on cassette when it came out back in the day. Basically, I almost hit myself in the face again. Basically, it's crossover. Metal meets hardcore. Thrashy metal meets hardcore with more of a hardcore leaning. It's good. It's fast. The band, their claim to fame was they encouraged people to be on the stage with them. I guess you have to ask and invite people up on the stage. Maybe you're not doing it right, but whatever. This is okay. I remember liking it a lot more when I was younger. Buying it during the time when it came out, it seemed so much fresher. Now it seems maybe a little tired, but I'm glad I picked it up. Next up, Deathspell Omega. This is their latest one. The Furnaces of Palingesia. Buddy Jeff Wagner told me I had to check this out because it was so good. And, you know, this is another band that's hyped. Obviously, there's a bunch of shit about them being racist, which sucks. But this is basically jazz black metal. That's the way I take this band. I think the appeal of it has really worn off for me. It just strikes me as a little too artsy-fartsy, a little too technical for the sake of being technical. It hurts the impact of the songs. I like it. I think it's interesting, but I honestly, once I file this record, I will probably never listen to it again. I find myself, the older I get, the more technical music, you know, when I was a reviewer all those years, you know, the more you hear and are overloaded with new music, you tend to lean on more interesting technical stuff to interest you. But once that goes away and you start, you know, hearing less and less releases, and yeah, I can still appreciate technical music, but I find myself wanting to listen to things that either I grew up on or I'm nostalgic for, or they're simple and catchy or heavy, or, you know, the super technical shit for the sake of it. It just seems a bit pretentious to me, and that's a pretentious album. Speaking of bands that remind me of Panopticon, this is Chaos Moon with Eschaton Memoire? I don't know. It's my first Chaos Moon album. I like this band. From what I've heard, I like it. I kind of blind bought this album after previewing a few things online. It's a good album. Again, this strikes me very much of the same vein as Panopticon. Not minus the bluegrass stuff, just in the style of black metal that they create. And I like it, but I like Panopticon better. And, you know, Jeff Whitehead artwork the guy's got, I like his painting style, I like his color scheme, but I don't know, man. I've seen some great pieces that he's done, but some of his shit just looks like a Pokemon, and could it be like one of my kids' Pokemon cards? If you're into that kind of thing, cool. But this is a good album. I've listened to it about 4 times, and every time I like it a bit more. Again, initial reaction struck me as a little bit like Panopticon, and, you know, being so close to that band, maybe a little territorial about that band. hearing that style, whether it was intentional or not, I'm not saying it was. It's probably not intentional. It takes me a little bit longer to warm up to the end result. But this is a good album. I end up liking it quite a bit. And I know I'm late to the party talking about a lot of this shit, but when you're low on money, you play a lot of catch up, and that's what I'm doing. Up next are 3 albums by Norway's, I think it's Shooter. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but this is stuff I've had in the distro for a while. It kind of slowed down selling, so I kept it. I'm a big Norwegian black metal fan, and I'd never really spent a lot of time with this band, so I wanted to do that, so I kept these for myself. I've got Kill for Satan. These are all on red vinyl, if I remember right. Yep, transparent red vinyl. This is a reissue, as is this. Demonic Possessions, red vinyl. And this is Anti-Live. This is white vinyl. Double white vinyl. You know, these guys are good. Out of these 3 records, I will say my favorite, most Norwegian sounding to me is this one. These guys typically play very fast, very brutal style, dissonant black metal. For me, Norwegian black metal has a very dissonant melody to it, very atmospheric. These guys kind of avoid that and go for the more harsh, barbaric style, which I like on occasion, but it's not a favorite of mine. I mean, out of the 3 albums, my least favorite would be Kill for Satan. It's okay. It's just a kind of average, brutal album. Demonic Possession is the favorite. This one, Anti-Live, is actually quite good. There's a lot of good riffs on this. The vocals are really harsh. This isn't their latest. Came out in 2015. But one thing that bugs the crap out of me about this is Season of Mist does this a lot. This is a 2 LP set. Could show you the gatefold, I guess. All the records are 45 RPM. So you're basically getting 2 songs aside, getting up and having to flip it over. 45 RPM, 2 songs aside. This goes by pretty quick. You know, this has been one of those things I'd have been completely fine with it on CD. But, you know, vinyl's cool. I love it. It's not as convenient. I don't always have time to sit plunk down in front of a turntable and listen to vinyl. But, you know, Shooter, they're good. I like it. I'm glad I got that stuff. As albums turn up that I'm missing here and there, I will pick them up. But out of those 3, Demonic Possessions is definitely the most in the vein of the mid-90s black metal Norwegian style. And this is the last one for the collection update. This is Urghiel with Aeons and Sodom. Basically, this is another 2 LP, 45 RPM set where you're flipping the records all the fucking time. This is the poster. The Tronder Nefas, one of the members of the band, the main member of the band, died. So this album is a full album of Norwegian black metal, and they employed all of these stalwarts in the Norwegian scene to sing on this album. So it's got Nocturnal Culto on a track or 2. It's got Nate Frost from Carpathian Forest on a track. It's got the dude from Tolke on a couple songs. And for that, it makes it cool. And the music's good too. I mean, this is a band. This is the only thing I own by them, which they always struck me again, kind of like Shooter, in more of a more barbaric, aggressive style. And I always lean towards the more atmospheric, melodic, dissonant Norwegian style. But I'm glad I kept this and checked this out because, you know, I've listened to it a couple times. I've enjoyed it. And I'll probably check it out again at some point. But that's it for now. I mean, I've got a shit ton of stuff I could be showing off. And now that we're all kind of laying low these days, which really is not a bad idea, as contagious as this virus is, it'd be best for us to all lay low until it blows over. But as time permits, I'm probably going to be making some more videos again. kind of missed interacting with you guys. It's been kind of fun doing it again, and I have been watching all the people I subscribe to. I don't comment much, but I'm always watching, and definitely would like to get back into this. I would like to be doing some different type of videos, but I don't always have the ideas in my head or the time to sit down and plot it out, which a lot of this, if you can probably notice, is completely off the cuff. Other than that, things here are good, plugging along. Since the last time you've seen me, I've lost 41 pounds. Keto diet, man. Eat a bunch of garbage food and you lose weight. Genius. Anyway, good seeing you. You guys take care.